Good morning, everybody. It's MrScaryMuffin here, and this is another Thoughts, Talk, and TF2. I just woke up, so pardon me, I've got the sniffles. If you hear me snorting a little bit throughout the video, that is why my voice is rough. This week, well, first of all, I want to give a big shout out to Smiley-O for helping me make a thumbnail for this video. I do appreciate it, and if you guys also want to help out, like I said before, I would be glad to take anything. We missed last week because I was in Seattle playing Pokemon at the regional tournament. I did okay, 5-3, whatever. I got 5-3 on the first day, 4-3 on the second day, ended up 69th overall, which did not net me any CP, but I don't think you guys care about that anyways. This week I wanted to talk about a topic that I actually had written down quite a long time, but other things kept taking priority over it, and that is the problem with being earnest. Now, when you're earnest, it means you're dedicated to something. It means that you are motivated, and generally, this is a positive attribute to have, right? People like people who are loyal. People like people who are dedicated, who will work on a project a long time or fully throw themselves at something wholeheartedly. You know, like people usually admire people who can do that. What the problem is that these days we have a lot of people who are overly zealous about something to a fault, and it kind of betrays the old mantra that I have proposed, which was everything in moderation, including your enthusiasm for something. And the problem with this, of course, comes from things such as anti-vaxxers, I guess men's rights activists. I'm not going to say Gamergate because it's not really kind of super associated with that kind of stuff. And the events that I was looking at is kind of quite a long time now, but one was a reformed anti-vaxxer, when it was a lady she wasn't strictly anti-vaxxer, but she was kind of those people who did not know what to believe and just decided to do nothing, which ended up to be the worst option, as I think she had 4 kids or something like that, and all of them got whooping cough, and then potentially also infected her newborn niece, who was too young basically to get vaccinated, and essentially put everybody at risk because of her decisions. And she's mentioned how what would have helped her was if people were nicer to her about this kind of discussion, and basically make it less threatening, less scary, less confrontational. And really, this problem of being earnest goes both ways. It's not just the anti-vaxxers, but also the pro-vaxxers, the people who can't see beyond the human being. You know, they can't see beyond the label that they put on these people, and they can't see the person who is behind that label. And when you judge someone super harshly, when you are being super dedicated to your own cause, and you are judging somebody harshly, it turns them away from you, and it makes them go on the defensive, and makes them less likely to collaborate and discuss, which is what you generally want. You want to find a avenue to talk to people. In terms of the MRA thing, there was an event, I think it was at Calgary Fan Expo or something like that, where the Honey Badgers tried to set up a booth, and then they went around and to like all the panels, and basically interrupted the panels and derailed them from whatever topic they were talking about, which really, you're not helping your cause, right? Like, these people, obviously, they went there just to troll. They went there just to derail things. They weren't trying to pull people to their cause, which is kind of weird. It's one of those things where, like, hey, you believe in something, don't you want more people to believe in this thing? You're not really helping your cause by just randomly derailing stuff. You're not proving anything in doing so. And again, it goes both ways, right? If you are against the gamer games or the kind of stuff, you can't really try to derail their topics. You have to try to talk to them. It's really hard to be firm in one kind of thing. I read a really interesting article, and I thought it was a joke article when I first saw it, but it was kind of an atheist article, I believe. It was something to do with like how to make somebody not Christian anymore, and it's very offensive when you think about it. And I thought it was a joke article, but it was an interesting one where it was you have a friend who is super Christian, and it's like, how do you break them out of this religion? How do you start introducing non-religious, like, some people are super religious, right? And let's try not to like think this is strictly Christianity kind of stuff, but in general, like if somebody strongly believes in something, how do you ease them out of? Because we don't want to be confrontational, and we don't want to just straight up, you're wrong, look at the facts, here's the proof, blah 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 blah. That never works. We already know this, right? There's a whole reason why people are still clashing kind of stuff. But this was a very, very compassionate approach, I felt. One of the things was, first of all, you read everything that they read. You basically become you basically try to work into their folds. You try to look at their literature, see where they're coming from, try to find the root of all their beliefs, right? So in this case, for Christianity, you read the Bible, you go to church, you attend Sunday school, you learn about what they're learning as well. You try to see things from their side. Like, you really, really, really try to walk a mile in their shoes kind of thing. The second step was to look at their typical arguments, and this is stuff that you can Google. You can see what are the things that are binding and holding them in place. Because when you have your facts and your proof, these are your arguments that you use against other people, right? These are the things that hey, look at these facts, look at these proofs. Like, how do you not believe in this kind of thing? It goes both ways. For people who are believing in anti-vaxxer, people who believe in who are non-celiac allergens, but they believe in gluten-free or organic food, that kind of stuff, right? They all have things that they're holding on to, and these things are these are their proofs. These are the undeniable facts that they believe in, right? And it's important to know what these things are. What are they holding so close to the heart, right? Not so that you can disprove them, but so, again, you know where they're coming from. And a lot of this, right, if you want to try to bring somebody over to the other side, usually the best people to talk to them are their close friends, their close family, people that they trust, right? And you really have to take a compassionate route in order to change their opinion, right? And it's not guaranteed to happen either, but it helps to get to know their literature. It helps to get to know their arguments, right? You really want to know exactly what kind of stuff they might bring up. And then the next part after this, the third step, is to very, very slowly ease them into things, right? When they bring up one thing, just tell them to bring it down a notch. If they mention anti-vaxxer, if they mention feminism, they mention Christianity, you bring it back a notch. You try to not really straight up confront them, but just kind of offhandedly point out that, hey, maybe it's not about this. Maybe it's not about feminism. Maybe it's straight up just girls want to have Marvel toys, like that kind of stuff, right? Like, you just point out, like, hey, maybe this wasn't an act of God. Maybe this wasn't something to do with big pharma or something like that, It just point out a different side and just slowly ease them into a different perspective. And again, it comes from a side of compassion, right? You want them to understand, because it will better their lives, especially in terms of anti-vaxxers, that kind of stuff, right? You help them understand something a little bit better, and you want to ease them into it so that they come around. And it's kind of like a discovery method, right? When I used to teach swimming, there was basically different ways you can teach people how to swim. You can teach them how to move their arms in a particular way, but everybody's body is different, and so sometimes instead of telling people, like, move your hands in this particular way, you give them a general goal. So in that case, it'd be like, find a way to spin yourself in a circle in this kind of way. Just move your legs so that you can spin around in a circle in this way, move your legs so you can spin around in a circle this way. And eventually people kind of find a way that works for their particular body. And this is called the discovery method of learning, and it's very powerful. It's because it's like riding a bike. Once you learn how to ride a bike, you don't really forget it, because riding a bike is not a thing that you can't just go. You give somebody a set number of instructions how to do, right? It's something that you discover. Your body kind of discovers its equilibrium, it discovers its balance, and it remembers this because it's something it discovered, and it's something that goes like, aha! You have an aha moment, and it sticks around forever. And similarly, when you're trying to ease people into this kind of stuff, you want to guide them towards this discovery. You want to just provide them the tools, kind of stuff. And the way you do it is you give them goals. So you like say, hey, maybe like, can you think of any other reasons why this might have happened, right? Like, really, really try to discuss it without outwardly saying something like, oh, um, the honey badgers were kicked out of the Calgary Fan Expo. How is all the feminisms trying to kick them out, trying to drive out these honest vendors, kind of stuff. And you're like, well, maybe can you think of another reason why this is happening? Now, of course, it doesn't always work, but if you are a close friend to this person, if you are a close relative to this person, you will be patient. And that's what it ultimately has to be. You have to be patient, and you can't expect change. Really, you can do everything right. You can do all these steps that I provided. And some people will never change, and that is the way it is. And if this is a friend, if this is a relative, like, you might have to step away and go and just rejudge it yourself. Like, well, do I still want this person in my life, even though I can't, like, I don't really agree with it, kind of stuff, right? And it's a pretty deep-seated disagreement kind of thing, right? You can't really expect change, and it's similar to how when I talk about giving advice. When you give advice in a way where you shouldn't care about whether people follow your advice or not, right? You give the advice, and you kind of like, yeah, you follow up, but if the guy doesn't follow your advice, don't take it personally, right? And that's kind of important. Same thing here. You try to guide them. You give them the goals of trying to change their perspective slowly, kind of stuff. But you're really not guaranteed anything. They don't owe you anything to change any stuff. And even though you're trying to help, or you're trying to bring them back into like the light side or whatever, even though you're trying to do these things, it may not happen. And the worst thing that can happen is that they go deeper off, right? And those times you might have to just step back and review your own relationship with this person. And even though if it doesn't work out, kind of stuff, at least your influences will stick around. You know that much. Just like if a parent talks to kids about not doing drugs, kind of stuff, the kids will still remember that. Even if they kind of brush off the parents, they'll still remember that. And in an important moment, they will still remember that. And that's ideally the kind of thing, right? At least you make the person a little bit more temperate. At least you start introducing the possibility of other thoughts to their rant. Anyways, guys, that's the rant for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this topic. I felt it was a pretty nice topic. Let me know in the comments below what you think. And again, if you guys want to help out with more topics in the future, or with thumbnails kind of stuff, hit me up on Twitter at MrScaryMuffin, or you guys could just post a comment below. I love the comments. Thank you guys. I will catch you guys next time. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.